Good afternoon, Facebook land. How are you? I'm Corey Huff with The Abundant Artist, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about why you should stop whatever you're doing right now and open Amazon.com and search for How to Sell Your Art Online by Corey Huff. It looks like this book right here, How to Sell Your Art Online. We're going to show you, we're going to talk a little bit about that. So I got an email this morning from an artist named Deb Clay. And amongst some other things, she asked me a very pointed question. She said, "Why should I buy your book?" And I thought, fair enough, totally fair question. And rather than just email her back, I thought there's probably other people that have the same question. So I thought, why should people buy the book? And I have some pretty compelling reasons for myself why I think you should buy the book, or else I wouldn't have written it. I'll tell you a little bit about the book. So a few years ago, I was sitting at a conference. And if you want the shorthand version, if you want the short version of why you should buy the book, I'll tell you this. It is the best, most succinct analysis of how to build an art career that I can put together from my 7 years of experience on helping other artists sell their art. And not only is it my experience, it is also the accumulated wisdom of all of the artists that I have interviewed and worked with who are a lot more experienced than I am. So in my opinion, it is the best book on the market on selling art on the internet. There's some other great resources out there, some great writers, but for 194 pages, I think it's a really great, succinct resource. So if that's enough for you, go ahead and go out. But otherwise, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the background to the book. So a couple years ago, I was sitting at a conference, the World Domination Summit here in Portland, Oregon. And basically this conference it's an awesome conference. There's about 3,000 people that go, and they have all of these really creative, world-changing people that speak on stage. And one of the things that I realized after watching all these people speak, I have a background as a performer, and I feel really good on stage talking to people, telling people about various things and entertaining people. But I was not on stage. And so one of the things that I noticed is that all of those people had written a book. And I thought, gosh, do I have that in me? Can I write a book and get the book out there? And so I thought about it for a while, and I wrote an outline, and I talked to some friends about it. And after about a year of talking to various people about my ideas for writing a book, I was able to partner with an awesome literary agent who was able to put my book idea in front of a bunch of different publishers. And we actually had 4 publishers come and say, yeah, we'd like to publish your book, which is relatively unusual. Most first-time authors don't get competitive offers from a few different publishers. So I feel really excited and lucky. Now, I wanted to show you a little bit about the book, what it is and why, and talk a little bit about what you're going to get out of the book. So I'm going to flip the camera around here. There we go. There's my uncle. Hey, thanks, Ronnie. I appreciate it. Let's see. So this says, How to Sell Your Art Online. Live a successful creative life on your own terms. So one of the things that sets this book apart from all of the other books on internet marketing out there is the fact that the artists that I highlight in this book, and this book's not about me. It's not about my career. It's not about what I think you should do. This book highlights the independent creative artists out there who are making a living selling their work online, primarily online and through shows, and making a living doing it that way. And these are not artists who are dependent on third-party sellers like art galleries or anything like that. These are independent artists who are doing it on their own. And that's why it says, live a successful creative life on your own terms. So if we open up, I've bookmarked a couple of things that I want to show you. The first one here is the table of contents. And people ask, okay, what's in the book? So you can see it says, Chapter 1, The Creation of the Starving Artist Myth. And here I dive a little bit into the story of Henry Merger. Many of you, if you've seen my webinars or presentations in person, you would have seen me talk about Henry Merger and the guy who, in my opinion, really created the legend of the starving artist myth. His writings and books were the inspiration for the opera La Boheme and the musical Rent, and sort of a lot of the popular ideas around artists needing to starve in order to be successful. And then in chapter 2, I flip that around and I talk about how successful artists think, the difference between starving artists and artists who are successful, and the difference in the way that they think. In chapter 3, I go into explicit instructions on how to find your niche and your ideal collectors, like how to figure out where you fit in the art world. And the real eye-opener here, I think, for a lot of artists who've talked to me about the book is figuring out who is actually going to be more likely to like their work and who is going to be most likely to buy their work. And then in chapter 4, we talk about good art not selling itself. So you do need to be able to pitch yourself. You need to be able to sell your work. That's just the way that it is. In chapter 5, we talk about telling stories. And I'm going to flip around and talk about this a little bit. So a lot of artists come to me and they say, hey, I don't have a story to tell. My art doesn't have a story. And that may be true for a very small percentage of artists. But here's what I have discovered from the work that I've done over the last 7 years. A lot of artists who think that their work, that their art doesn't have a story, are actually wrong. And I think that's a pretty bold claim. So I want to say that every artist's work has a story, and that is usually the story of the artist. It's the reasons that you choose to make the art that you make. It's the reasons that you choose to make the particular artistic choices that you make. It's the reason you picked up a paintbrush or the reason you started modeling clay. And it is also the emotions that you're experiencing. It's the subconscious stories that you're telling yourself and that you're living while you are creating the work that you're living. And in the book, we give some specific exercises on how to delve into that story because I feel like it's really, really important. Yeah. Dennis says, it feels like you're speaking directly to me at this point. I remember Dennis is watching the broadcast. I remember talking to you, Dennis, directly a couple of years ago and speaking about exactly this. We had this conversation, and I hopefully it's helped you in some degree. And Melissa Dinwiddie she says, story and meaning are why people buy art. That's absolutely true. Melissa, I remember you telling me the story, and I think I highlight this story in the book, where Melissa was at a camp with a bunch of other creative people and entrepreneurs. And they had gotten to know Melissa over the course of that camp. And they actually just asked her, they said, hey, we all want to buy your art. Why don't you just pick and tell us which piece you think we should have? That's an amazing, amazing, powerful story. Yeah, absolutely. Melissa says so many people purchased art because of the story I've shared with them. So that's really, if you could take one thing away from the book, it's figuring out what your story is and being unafraid to share that story. So let's go back to the rest of it in the book. So here it's after telling stories, it's building a website that sells. Now, obviously, we can't show you exactly how to build a website, especially in a single chapter. But I give you some checklists and some things that every artist's website needs to have. Building your mailing list, super important. We show you not so much the tools, but the strategies that you can use to build a mailing list. Social media and PR. So social media changes really fast. There's no way that I could write a book about social media and have it still be relevant while in the time between writing it and publishing it. But here in social media and PR, I talk about public relations strategy, how to build relationships with the public. Looks like we lost connection there for a second. And then in the 9th chapter, we talk about thinking like a marketer and letting numbers inform your decisions. And this is something, I'm out here again, this is something that I see a lot of artists struggle with as well, is thinking like a marketer and letting numbers inform your decisions. If you start marketing yourself, and this is the great thing about online marketing, you can see exactly how many people are coming to your website. You can see how many people are on your mailing list, how many people are following you on social media. So, let those numbers inform your decisions, and that will help you become a better marketer, a better artist. Not necessarily a better artist in the sense of making your art, but in the sense of running your business. So I also want to show you some of the illustrations, just real quick, that are in the book. Now, the cool thing about this is when I was shopping the book around, this is my computer here. when I was shopping the book around, this is some of the illustrations by Cynthia Morris, Love Being an Independent Artist. And we talk in this chapter a little bit about the advantages of being an independent artist over doing things like working with galleries. When I was pitching this book, a lot of publishers walked away because they didn't want to pay for a full color illustration. And I said, it's really important. This book is being sold to artists. It really should be an illustrated colored book. And so we are able to come to a deal where we were able to do the illustrations. And Cynthia did a great job with these illustrations. I'm really excited and been proud of her and the work that she's done. Cynthia Morris, and writing strongly about your art. Here in the story, in the chapter on stories, we talk about the steps that you need to take to write about your work. So this is really what it's all about. The book is about learning to tell your stories. How to sell your art online is not just a book about which buttons to push and which links to click on and how to use Facebook. It's more about how to tell your story, not only person to person or over video like we're talking about now, but also how to connect with people and how to have fun with people and how to make internet marketing interesting and engaging for you and for the people that follow you online. A couple other things that I wanted to mention. In the book, I mentioned this, that the fine art market in general is in a tremendous state of flux right now. In the last 7 years, since the big economic downturn in 2008, about 25% of all art galleries in the United States have gone out of business. And there's just an amazing amount of change happening in the art world. And it is my opinion that a big reason that so many art galleries are going out of business, part of it is the economy, but they're not adapting themselves to modern ways of marketing themselves. A couple of pieces of data from the insurance company Hiscox. They put out a study every year on the fine art market, and online art sales are growing at a rate of 19% per year for the last few years. That means that in 5 years, the amount of art that is being sold online is going to double. And my best educated guess is that that is going to accelerate. There's going to be more and more art sold online. Online art galleries, online art marketplaces are growing at 2, 3, 4 times growth year over year. They're doubling and tripling every year in size and revenue. So there's a lot of opportunity. And the other cool thing about selling art online is that 65% of the people who buy art online directly from artists are repeat buyers, meaning they're going to buy from you again over some period of time. So there is a tremendous amount of opportunity in selling your art online, and that's why I published, or that's why we are publishing How to Sell Your Art Online, because I feel like not enough people in the fine art industry appreciate how fundamental a shift selling art online is, that it is affecting every aspect of the art business, and there are not enough art galleries and artists paying attention to how that's going to change. That's all I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about the book and some of the illustrations and some of the reasons why you should buy the book. Jane says, video seems to be frozen. It keeps spinning. Oh, I'm sorry, Jane. Yeah. So hopefully this will pick back up. But there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about. Oh, so some people ask me, in the book, is the book just a rehash of what's on the blog or what's in your courses? So in 7 years, we've written probably around 500 blog posts, and we've cut a bunch of those. Now, some of what's in the book does appear on the blog. If I write and write and write and write, I'm going to repeat myself to some extent. Some of what's in the book is basically taking some of our most popular blog posts and reworking that a little bit into more in-depth, more thoughtful content. So that is certainly there and present in the book. But a lot of it is also original research and original thought. I spoke to many of the leaders in the fine art industry. I spoke to some of the founders and some of the employees at various art startups, including Vango, which is an art sales app. I spoke to the head curator at Artsy, which is probably going to be the iTunes of art. They're a tremendous big player in online art sales. So there is some original research in the book, and you know, if you have taken our class, our How to Sell Your Art online class, you know that class is a big class. It's designed to take 8 weeks. It's designed to transform your business. This book could not possibly contain everything that's in that class. But if you're looking for a short guide that you can refer to, or if you're looking for something that you can give to your friends, something that you can teach in class, then yeah, absolutely the book is valuable in that sense. And it's also valuable for the analysis that I do of the online art market and future trends, even if you've taken the class already, because I don't talk about that too much in the class. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what we're doing with the book. And if you don't know, if you're wondering where to get the book, it's on sale at Amazon, amazon.com, and just search for How to Sell Your Art Online. You can also join, we're having a launch party. The book actually ships on June 28th. It's available for pre-sale right now. And after that, on the day of June 28th, we are going to have an all-day video broadcast where we're going to bring on some of the artists that we've highlighted in the book, these independent artists who are selling their work directly to collectors online. We're going to have them come on and talk. Some of my own personal business mentors, we're also going to have them come on and talk. So if you want to join that live video broadcast, you can go to theabundantartist.com/book launch. Book launch, that's all one word. theabundantartist.com/book launch. I'll also post a link in the comments after the broadcast is over. And basically, what we're going to do on the day of the book launch is anybody who has purchased a pre-order of the book, all you have to do is forward a copy of the pre-order to help@theabundantartist.com, and then just let us know, like, what are your big business struggles right now in your art business. And everybody who buys a pre-order copy will have an opportunity to join us live on the video broadcast on the 28th. And you'll get some coaching from me and some of the other artists that are going to be joining us live to talk about how they overcame some of the challenges that you're going to outline, or some of the challenges that you might have. And we're going to do that all day long. We're also going to include some bonuses and giveaways during the day. We also have, if you are considering buying the book for a class or for your art group or anything like that, we have some group buy options over on the book launch page, theabundantartist.com/book launch. There's some options. If you buy 10 copies of the book, then you'll get access to some of our classes. If you buy 20 copies, I think you get, I'll come and do a webinar for your group. And if you buy 100 copies of the group, I'll come and take your entire group through a 3-day weekend version of the class, so that you can of our How to Sell Your Art Online class, which will be, taking the book essentially and blasting and transforming your art business. So hopefully, if you can take advantage of some of those book deals, some of those group buy deals, or the bulk buy deals. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the book. Thank you all so much for joining us and talking about listening to me talk a little bit about the book. I'm excited about it, and we've had dozens of people email me and tell me that they've pre-ordered the book. So I'm excited about that, and I hope that you enjoy the book and have a great day.